quality assurance body, Umalusi, has approved the release of the 2021 matric final exam results. It's despite concerns about cases of unauthorized and early access to question papers at some exam centers in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. We're joined by Umalusi Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Mafu Rakometsi. Dr. Rakometsi, good evening to you and thank you for your time today. I guess we are at that point in as far as the delivery of the national exam is concerned that it would be an anomaly for Umalusi to not declare the green light in as far as the release of these matric exam results are concerned. The Department of Basic Education seems to have run a very good cycle.
Indeed, the Department of Education has run very good examinations under very difficult circumstances with the advent of COVID-19. They have worked against all odds and they've ensured that they deliver a very good examination.
Let's talk then just about some of the challenges that were reported in this exam, and we seem to go through this every year. There seems to be some way in which the paper leaks and then that jeopardizes the integrity of some subjects.
This time around, the paper did not leak. We have to be accurate how we report on this. What happened is that the paper was opened before the stipulated time. That means that where an examination commences at 9 o'clock in the morning, the chief invigilator is allowed to open the paper at 8:30. That is 30 minutes before the commencement time. And this has to happen also in front of all the candidates in the examination venue. In this instance, it would appear that the papers were opened before the scheduled time, and they were shared with the students, who also in turn shared them on WhatsApp, on the WhatsApp group, and that has compromised the paper in the sense that those learners who had access to the paper on the WhatsApp group would have had the paper before the stipulated time.
But how does that not constitute a leak, Dr. Rakometsi?
A leak would be a paper that leaks maybe at the a packing center where the papers are being packaged or where the papers are being distributed. But in this instance, the paper would have been safely delivered at a center. And maybe because the papers are collected early in the morning, as early as 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, only to be opened at 8:30 before the session commences. This time around, it would appear that whoever was entrusted with the responsibility of taking care of the papers opened the envelope that contains the paper before the stipulated time.
But the fact that there were pictures taken and, you know, the actual exam shared on WhatsApp groups, does that not constitute a leak of the exam?
It constitutes a serious irregularity, but it is an irregularity of a different kind. It is not a leak. It is just that the paper was opened before the stipulated time, and also it is an irregularity, a malpractice, because then it was shared on social media.
Let's talk about how Umalusi has dealt with that matter.
What has happened is that the investigations have not been concluded regarding that matter. And Umalusi has said all the students who are on those WhatsApp groups, their results should be blocked until the investigations are completed. And that also disciplinary action should be taken against the chief invigilator and the invigilators involved. So as things stand, the students who are on those WhatsApp groups will not get their results for those subjects.
My understanding is that this affects learners both in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. Does Umalusi have a definitive figure in terms of the number of learners affected here?
We do not have the number of learners as things stand. However, this irregularity is limited to the few centers affected. It is not the whole of KwaZulu-Natal. It is not the whole of Gauteng. It is only at the affected centers.
let's talk about another issue that tends to be quite controversial, especially after the release of the results, and this is around standardization and how that is approached by Umalusi.
Standardization is as old as the National Senior Certificate itself in its different form. Previously, we had the Senior Certificate in South Africa for more than 100 years. It has always been there. And it is not only something that is done in South Africa. All large-scale examinations the world over are implementing standardization. Standardization is intended to ensure consistency in the results, in the sense that a symbol B of the year 2010 should compare with the symbol B of 2021. So it is a normal process that is being followed, and it is also in the founding act of Umalusi where the clause says Umalusi as a council may adjust raw marks.
And when it comes to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, how have you found that your work as an institution has had to evolve where you are performing this monitoring and this oversight role, but yet still needing to be in compliance with some of the regulations? So you're not able to be in all schools, in all provinces in the way that you would have before.
There have been things that we have had to change. However, in terms of the monitoring of centers, we still continue to go physically to those centers to ensure that there is compliance with the regulations. However, with regards to the different quality assurance meetings that we hold where we meet with the different assessment bodies to do standardization, those have been done online where we consider the reports pertaining to irregularities. These meetings have been held online where previously, pre-COVID, they were held face-to-face.
Are there any areas of improvement that you have marked for the Department of Basic Education?
Where I want to commend the department is that they've been able to pull these examinations through under very difficult circumstances presented by the pandemic. They've been able to adhere to the COVID-19 regulations at the examination centers where the children write, at the marking centers, and everything has run smooth. So the department really has come to the party in terms of adhering to the COVID regulations, and this has happened at short notice from 2020 to 2021. The department has done a sterling job.
All right, let's leave it there for tonight. That's the CEO of Umalusi, Dr. Mafu Rakometsi.